It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Cool Kids Club. This is episode 79.
Woo!
And whoop! I am one of your hosts and half of America's favorite siblings, and my name is Amy.
Heyo.
Heyo! What up?
Hey. Not much. I'm Justin. I'm the other one.
Yeah. That's
And we back. We back.
We back. We back. Now,
I'm literally back.
you're literally back. The boys
Yeah.
are back in town.
The boys
Both
are back
of
in
us.
town.
Both
Yes.
these boys are back in town.
Guess who just got back today? Well, I've been back for a while.
Oh. Yeah.
No, I was traveling.
Yeah.
We were kind of silent on Instagram there for a while. On our socials.
Yeah, you could have asked me. I would have been happy to take over. I didn't really think about it while you were gone.
You know, I shouldn't have to, but
Good point. Yeah, Justin was gone. I was gone the week before. We mentioned our last podcast.
We squeezed that SNL episode out right at the last second.
Oh, we did. Like we said last time, we had a couple of hours time that we could actually sit and record it.
Now I've got all day.
Yeah, now we got all the time in the world. So yeah, we are back. Justin, do you want to tell everybody what you were doing on your trip?
Well, I went to New York for the first time. New York
time
City
ever.
Went to Philadelphia for the first time.
Yes.
And went to WrestleMania this year. So
Also for the first time?
second time.
So when the one you went to in Tampa those years ago, was that WrestleMania?
That was Orlando. Well, I've been to the only other WrestleMania I've been to was Orlando. That was 33, and that would have been 2017.
Okay, so that is.
But I've been to lots of events in Tampa as well.
Right, but now you've been to two WrestleManias. We of course went to Royal Rumble when we were little. Have you been to any of the other big events as an adult?
I've been to another Royal Rumble.
When was that?
2016. I've been to SummerSlam.
Okay. SummerSlam was the one in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I've been to some AEW New Japan.
Is WrestleMania their biggest event? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
It seemed big, and it was interesting, and I think we talked about it last time, that the week before I was in Philadelphia visiting a friend of ours we have up there, and of course it was the weekend before WrestleMania, so there was advertisements everywhere for WrestleMania. Like as soon as I got off the airport, or I got off the airplane at the airport, and I'm walking down to baggage claim, there's like a million, like WrestleMania, and then I'm walking around the Fashion District, and there's all kinds of advertisements, and I'm like, man, Justin, the city is getting ready. So it did seem like a really big deal. So I guess that makes sense if that's their.
Well, it was the 40th
biggest
anniversary.
And The Rock was coming back, so it was like a really big deal.
It was, and as soon as I got to Philly, everyone was kind of buzzing. Literally, the taxi driver that picked us up and was taking us to the Airbnb was talking to me about it.
That's so cool. Now, has it ever been in Philly before? In those 40 years?
Yes, but I think it's been a long
time. Yeah.
I think it's been a long time. But 2 nights. Got to do that. Got to see Cody Rhodes finish his story. The culmination of a 3.5 year long story that's been going on.
That's awesome.
So it was an amazing time. Time.
Yeah, lots of firsts for you. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Rode the choo-choo.
Rode the choo-choo train. Rode a train for the first time. Yeah.
Well,
like
Amtrak.
An Amtrak. I was gonna say we've been on little choo-choos, but
anyway.
And you've been on the choo-choo at Dollywood.
I have been on multiple choo-choo.
Choo-choo.
I choo-chooed through Pennsylvania Dutch country one time.
I did too. This
is really fascinating stuff.
It's really well, I think our listeners really enjoy train travel. Listen, we had a great response to that 1890s post. I think that our so I didn't know Justin was posting that, and I got
You actually did, because I texted you about it months ago when I thought of that joke, and I put a reminder in my phone because I knew I'd forget.
Well, I did forget.
Yeah.
Because it really got me when I saw that, and I was like, that's so good, Justin. Good job on that.
Thank you.
So I think our listeners, what I'm trying to say is I think our listeners, we definitely have...
Welcome to the
1890s.
podcast.
We're talking about train travel.
We're talking about choo-choos.
No.
Episode 1, choo-choos.
It's choose chew, like cul-de-sacs.
Choose chew.
Choose chew. No, we're actually talking about something very exciting today because this, as we said, was the winner of our 2024 March Radness.
Y'all ready for this?
Like, Yukon who? This is the real winner.
Yeah, there you go. Every time it comes to this time of year and I have to post March Radness stuff and work on the things for social media and all that, it's just every time I see that logo, it's just jock jams start playing in my head.
You are transported to the gymnasium.
Oh, I'm in the gym. I'm at the pep rally.
You're doing herkies. You're doing flips.
I got a cowtail.
Oh,
herkies.
God.
Probably not doing herkies.
At least maybe a toe touch. Yeah.
No, still no.
Justin, what are we talking about today? What was our March Radness winner?
Toys R Us is the winner. Perhaps the one of the biggest, maybe the biggest retail icon of the era we kind of talk about, right?
Yeah,
It's the Nickelodeon
of retail.
What Nickelodeon was to television for us. Mm-hmm. You know, Toys R Us was to retail. Yeah. Absolutely iconic.
I mean, just a kid's paradise. Really.
Now, we definitely went to Toys R Us. Yes. Certainly.
Yes.
Many times.
Yes.
I don't know if it was like a regular... I feel like it was, for us, like more of a special thing.
It was more of a special.
We're spending birthday money, or, like, maybe I would get... like, if you get all A's on your report card, we'll do a Toys R Us run. But
it was a little more of a reward, I think, in our household.
And if we were toy shopping, it was much more along the lines of, like, Walmart or a Hills... or an Ames, like this department stores that had toy stores. And I remember vividly going to KB as well.
Which was always in the mall.
They were much smaller.
Yes.
Which was always in the mall. Yeah.
Now, was KB national? Like, was KB everywhere?
Yeah.
As well as Toys R Us? Okay. Yeah.
I loved KB.
It
wasn't obviously as big as Toys R Us.
But because of that...
But it was more focused.
Justin, I mean, I can remember it was like every fucking square inch of KB toys had a toy.
Well, Toys R Us too. That's what I remember so much about Toys R Us.
Was packed to the fucking brim.
Like every single cubic inch of retail space was accounted for with some sort of toy or display. Yeah. Like, just you couldn't see the walls. I really don't think it was because I was a little kid. You know how sometimes it's like...
it seems bigger.
Things seem bigger in your memory because you're so small. But I really don't think so. Because I was looking at some stuff today from like vintage footage from like Toys R Us. I'm like, it's just packed.
Fucking packed to the gills, man.
Like, it was a paradise when you went in there. I mean...
Oh my God. I mean, a sensory overload. Just...
Which is exactly what I wanted.
Oh yeah, as a child? I'm seeking out sensory. I'm seeking out senses.
I'm just developing these senses,
I mean, the sheer amount of Barbies that were in that Barbie aisle.
Oh, just like you could see... I feel like you could see the glow of pink. There was so much pink in that aisle that it glowed, and you could see it like from a distance,
from around the corner,
like the sunset coming over the horizon. You know.
Now, Justin, do you? I'm making this connection in my brain right now. Do you think that that feeling of like going in and being like, oh my God, like there's so much to look at? Do you think that's why we love thrift and antique stores now? I mean, because when you walk into a store, I mean,
it's chaos, and that's kind of the fun of it.
That's kind of the fun of it.
It's not a super organized department store, which there's a time and a place for that, you know.
And that's also very aesthetically pleasing.
Sure.
But like when we walk into an antique store, we know we're going to be here for the next 2 hours. We're going to meander. We're going to dig. We're going to you and I love that.
I might like walk down a whole aisle and not stop once, see anything that catches my eye, and then I might spend 45 minutes over in
one booth.
Going through one booth doing something.
Yeah. And maybe that's like, I mean, Maybe this started with Toys R Us.
I mean, that's fair. And also my love of maximalism. I think.
Yes.
I
could never be a minimalist.
No, I can't.
No.
It's just not in my bones.
No.
Not in my DNA.
No. I mean, the look of like the Cool Kids Clubhouse. It has an official name now and an official Instagram. Like,
it does.
The look of the clubhouse. I mean, when you go in and it's just every square inch.
Yeah.
And the way you have it organized so meticulously and like it's always like evolving and changing. It's your own Toys R Us.
Well, should we? I was going to mention this at
everything.
the end of the show today, but we can go ahead and mention.
Okay.
We can plug it if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, we should be plugging that. So Justin has a new.
Well,
Instagram.
we're going to. I just recently started the Instagram. We're doing it. This is the plug.
This is it, guys. We'll start reminding you at the end of every episode.
And then after this, we'll talk about some Toys R Us.
Yeah, but let's talk about this. Let's plug it.
My own personal Toys R Us that
Justin's
I have
own personal
in my
Toys R
home.
Us. Because that's what happens when you become an adult, especially one that doesn't have children.
Yep.
Is you just purchase everything for your own Toys R Us that you have in your house.
I'm enjoying, the dink while I can.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Just having that disposable income and rebuying a lot of stuff or buying stuff that I missed out on as a kid.
Yep.
That's
just kind of our thing.
I like doing that. I'm creating my own big toy run.
Oh, Justin, you are.
Yeah, it's just spread out over time instead of doing it all in 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you've not already, go over to on Instagram, Cool Kids Club House.
So
right?
It is Cool Kid Clubhouse.
Okay,
and the only reason is that Cool Kids Clubhouse was taken, and I was like, "Well,
bastard."
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool Kid
Clubhouse.
Yeah. Go check it out. Justin has started posting just pictures of his room and showcasing some of his toys and things that he has, and it's really, really awesome. So definitely go and check that out if you like any of the shit we talk about. And I imagine you do because you're listening. So
because here we are. Let's talk about how Toys R Us sort of got started because it was around for a long time, but the absolute pinnacle of Toys R Us as a business and as a cultural force was the 80s and 90s. It was the time we were talking
everything.
about. Like everything good. Mm-hmm. It really is kind of crazy how after the 90s everything just went to shit.
Yep. I mean, it's 9/11. I know we got to bring it up every fucking episode.
Every episode.
Changed.
Is that going to be our last episode?
Oh, God. Well, that's the end. I mean, that's the end of an era.
Yeah.
Literally.
We'll just do, no joke. I'm not talking about making fun of it. No jokes. We'll do a 100% serious episode.
Reverent
somber episode about 9/11, and that'll be our last episode.
No, we're not. We might end it on 9/11, but
that's for another day.
That's for another day. Today, though, we're going to talk about how Toys R Us got started, which was long, long before the 1980s.
1948. Charles B. Lazarus, who I assume is immortal.
Who I assume rose from the dead.
And still lives.
No,
probably.
He's the guy in Geoffrey.
He is Geoffrey.
He is Geoffrey.
Geoffrey's like his Westworld where
he's like Avatar kind
he inserted his soul and consciousness into Geoffrey. Well, we're off to a really normal start here.
Just super normal. Well, yep. I mean, I think this is what the people expect.
So Toys R Us started out in 1948 operating out of a guy's bike shop, which was Charles Lazarus's father.
Mm-hmm. That's all above board.
Who I assume was Jesus?
That tracks.
It started as a children's furniture store.
Okay.
Because of the baby boomers. Because he was like, everyone's coming home from this war and fucking
and
they're gonna
need some babies.
and they're gonna need some tiny furniture. And so that's how it started. It was called.
I mean, that's smart.
Listen to this. If you think,
okay.
this isn't the name of a company that's gonna go a long way and be a cultural icon.
Mm-hmm.
Children's Bargain Town.
Oh boy,
that's the extremely exhilarating original name of Toys R Us.
That sounds like something that moved into an old building in your town.
Yeah.
And they have a sign that's just a piece of cardboard that says that out front.
Well, it's a printed banner, but it's one they got done, for like $100.
And it is in Comic Sans. Yeah.
Come on down to Children's Bargain Town.
Get your tiny little rocking horses.
So it took old Lazarus here about a decade to realize, what I could make more money doing is selling toys, because toys, furniture. Come on.
Yeah.
And then so he totally revamps the store. They change the name to Toys R Us. He designs the logo that was the logo like the whole time with the backwards R with the star.
Really? In it. Okay.
June 1957, the first like real Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Opens in Rockville, Maryland. And so he basically spends the next decade like kind of growing, seeing a lot of success, but he knew that he had like 5 stores, like up through like the mid-60s.
This is just like a regional,
Yeah. And then so he sells in 1966 to Interstate Department Stores, and he stays on as CEO, and this is when it starts
up.
Blowing the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like the 70s,
Yeah.
Like all good things, they got to brew it in the 70s. And then they really came to fruition in the 80s and 90s.
They really came in hot in the 80s.
Came in hot in the 80s, dominated the 90s, and then by the 2000s it was just wiped off the face of the earth with everything else
It's
joyful.
just an empty shell of what it once was.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about like some memories and stuff later, but I can remember like as an adult, probably college aged, going into our Toys R Us that of course we don't have anymore.
No, not even the building.
No, they raised it.
That was really sad.
That was a little bit too much, actually.
I drove over there by it inadvertently when they were tearing it down, and it just like.
I was like, it would have been less sad to see it empty and deteriorated.
Yeah,
that would have been less sad. But I used to go there.
Which is pretty much what it had been for years, except for Halloween, the Halloween store.
Yep.
Once a year.
Well, I would go there because I was going to Babies R Us, which we'll get to, I know. But
do you have a baby I don't know about?
No, but as a woman in her 20s, most everybody I knew at some point was having a baby.
And so you go to Babies R Us.
So you go to Babies R Us.
You were like, babies are me. And thankfully there's a place.
Yeah, me baby.
Me baby.
So I would go to the toy section, get myself a toy. No, I'm just kidding. But people would have registries there. So that's the last times I remember going. And of course I'd have to like walk through the Toys R Us part. And my point being, it was empty in the 2000s. That's my point, is that.
Empty of people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of merchandise. No people.
They never quit stacking it.
They did not skimp on the merchandise. But yeah. So anyway.
So yeah.
But back in the 70s.
It blows up in the 70s. By the early 80s, they are. In 1983, they opened 236 stores. Just in 1983.
Just in 1983?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, they came on hard and fast.
Shoo. They went ham.
And I really feel like, I think Toys R Us is, like, when I think of, like, what era would I say Toys R Us? More 80s than 90s even.
It is a little more 80s than 90s, yeah.
Like, I feel like their real heyday was, like, early 80s through early 90s.
Yep.
And that really is when business started to drop off in the mid 90s, really, as they started seeing more competition from like Target and Walmart.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Really delving, and then of course, not long after that, you've got online shopping, which becomes a thing. So really, like, their heyday was like early 80s through early 90s.
Yeah.
Which is just
our bread and butter.
That's my sweet spot, right?
That is really our bread and butter.
I feel like maybe, and I don't know, like, you and I are only 2 years apart. I'm only 2 years older than you. But I feel like I have more of a memory of the late 80s. Like, it doesn't seem like 2 years as anything now, but when you're a little kid, that's all you got.
I mean, let's be honest. I have probably no actual memory of the late 80s. I didn't turn 3 until 1990. Like, there's no... Yeah. I'm not remembering anything before I'm 3. But you turned 3 in 1988. So you do have memories of that era that I just don't.
And that era of Toys R Us that was like blue and brown and gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, because I would say... Well, like we kind of mentioned that we didn't go to Toys R Us, like it wasn't like an every week we were going. It was sort of a special occasion thing. But we certainly went. I would say the biggest impact that Toys R Us had on me was through their commercials.
Yep.
And through the newspaper ads and, of course, the big toy book.
The big toy book.
Yeah.
I have a really specific memory, and I think I've shared this on here before, but just in case I haven't, and I know you know what I'm going to say, but I remember when we had first moved to Tennessee, the house we lived in when we first moved here, probably that next, like, Thanksgiving, we were still young enough to care about toys. And we'd gotten a big toy book, you know, with the newspaper and all that stuff. And I can remember us, like, hunkering down on the couch in the den while, like, Mom was doing the dishes from Thanksgiving dinner. And it was like, Christmas has begun, Thanksgiving dinner's over, and you and I, and we were at that age, you know, where we didn't get along a ton. But, man, we were, like, sitting really close on the couch. We were not fighting. We were looking through the big toy book together.
We had a common goal.
We had a common goal, yes. Right. And it must have made an impact because I remember that. I could conjure that memory of us looking through that big toy book, and it was kind of like, I wonder, okay, Thanksgiving meal is over. Yeah.
You know what I would like to do? Is pin down exactly what year it would be. Like, it may have been 96, and then we could go find that toy book on eBay.
Yeah.
To eBay.
Yeah. Oh, God. eBay's the most glorious thing that's ever existed.
And also dangerous.
Yeah. I do want to point out, and this is just a little eBay sidebar.
Okay.
It's not necessarily Toys R Us related. So I have decided this year, I wanted to do it last year, but it just didn't come to fruition. I wanted to get a second Christmas tree. Yes. Like just a skinny one, a small one, to put in the corner of our bedroom and have it be our Disney tree.
Okay.
Specifically like some Disney World ornaments and things like that.
Okay.
So on eBay, so I've been like slowly collecting some Disney World, some Disney things, and it's like, you know, I'll just fill it in with other ornaments, like colored ornaments, until I have enough. It's fine. But this morning on eBay, I have decided I wanted to get ornaments from the year I was born and the year Scott was born. So this morning, for $6, I bought a vintage Disney ornament from 1987, from the year that I was born. So nice. I was just like literally hours before we are doing the podcast. So eBay's the greatest thing in the world. Like, you know, for $6
on the days where we do the podcast, I know it's coming. I don't know that this nostalgia feeling. Yeah, it creeps in on me, knowing like you and I are going to have a talk.
Start clicking on that eBay app, and I'm like, what am I doing?
And the next thing you know, I've spent $50.
Well, I only spent like 10 with shipping today, so we're doing pretty good.
That's not bad.
But you know, the day is young. And we almost always take to eBay.
The big toy book, my God, I would keep those around forever. Like, long after Christmas, just to look at the pictures, I think. Do you get the ones from Amazon every year?
I don't know that I get the Target ones. Okay, I get like a paper, I get the paper
Amazon, copy. One that's kind of the equivalent of this, and I don't think I get Amazon, but I always get Target. Yeah, I still keep it around for weeks, and like I'll sit out here and look at it while we're watching TV.
Well, and speaking of this, literally yesterday I went to Hallmark because the new Dream Books came out with all the new ornaments for this year. And I literally went. So this is very.
You are a certain kind of white lady. You have become a very certain kind of white lady.
I listen to Taylor Swift and I go get the Hallmark Dream Book. That's correct.
And you have a Disney Christmas tree.
Yep. Well, not yet, but I will.
But you will.
But I will. But anyway, looking through that, it very much that tactile feel of looking through a catalog is something we don't get a lot anymore. But yeah, so that's very akin to the big toy book. I'm just like, oh yeah, You circle the ones.
Give me that serotonin.
You circle the ones that I want.
Get a big marker. Circle the ones you want.
They have like a... So I'm very new to this, and I'm not going to go ham with it or anything, but there's like a couple that I want. They have like a wish list, like an order form, Justin, inside of it, where you put like the quantity, and it's got it's very old school. You can also do it online, but it's just fascinating that they still have that.
We do things analog here.
Here at Hallmark knows it has a lot of... Except for the whole
making the podcast thing. That's different.
Yeah. Well, Hallmark knows it has a lot of 85-year-old women ordering ornaments who...
That are not going to go on.
They do not use the World Wide Web. No, they're not going to go on online.
They're not going to go on online.
Anyways, Big Toy Book. Yeah, the Big Toy Book really was something else.
Oh my God, yeah. And so there's the song, right?
There's
the commercials. Mm-hmm. I love the commercials. The song is iconic. My favorite, of course, so you had the original, I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. Which I think was like early 80s, like when they started, when they were really like,
and that was so like,
the world.
That phrase was so ingrained in pop culture.
Do you remember I think it's 1996, and I may have linked it in the notes, possibly, when they redid that commercial with the same kids who were now like teenagers?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up,
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
They got the best for so much less.
You'll really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to video games.
It's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz.
I don't want to grow up, cause baby if I did,
I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. Once a Toys R Us kid.
always a Toys R Us kid.
Once a Toys R Us kid, always a Toys R Us kid.
That's true. That's true. Every kid was a Toys R Us kid, even if you only went one time.
Yeah, I mean, if you had your choice, you'd be there every day.
Oh yeah,
you'd never leave.
You just didn't have a car. That's your barrier, or money.
Yeah,
or independence.
Sell me some pizza rolls so I can eat, and I'll just live here.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. Oh, it was good.
Now, I feel like I have told this story on the podcast before, but I have a very specific memory of Toys R Us, and this would have been very early on. This would have been, this would have been the 80s. This would have been the 80s because it was right when like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mania took over, right? And it was
Turtle Mania. We've talked about that.
Oh, ad nauseum. We've talked about Turtle Mania. So this would have been like probably 1988, I imagine. And I had the first Ninja Turtle figures I ever got were the OG Series 1 Playmates, Leonardo and Raphael. And those were the first two. And then I got Michelangelo. So I was just missing Donatello. And because much like I am today, back then I was a completionist, and I mean, I'm not gonna have 3 of the 4.
No.
And then Donatello would eventually become my favorite too. So it was.
That's right. Donnie is your guy.
And I was having a real hard time finding him.
Really?
Yeah, because Turtle Mania was blowing up, and I guess everyone wanted that Donnie.
Yeah.
And
maybe they weren't making as many.
Everyone wanted all of them.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. But I remember I had some of the other figures too, and it's like, but it doesn't feel complete. Like, I've got Splinter and I've got Shredder, but it doesn't feel complete because I don't have all the turtles.
Yeah.
And I remember going with Dad, I believe, to Toys R Us, and I have a memory of just a gigantic wall of turtle figures. And I thought maybe I was exaggerating in my head until going back to today, watching some vintage footage. No, it really was a gigantic wall with like hundreds of turtle figures on it.
And how could you not find a Donnie in there?
Feeling like a madhouse. There were all kinds of people in there and parents.
Yeah.
And they're all digging for whatever figures they're trying to find.
Yeah.
And there's toys everywhere, and I'm just,
it was always like, I feel like a little messy. Because they couldn't keep up with people rifling through shit.
Have you ever worked in a toy department? Because I have. Not at Toys R Us, but I've worked at Target in the toy department, and it's real hard to keep it fucking clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
really hard. So a whole store, I imagine, yeah. There's
Yeah.
only so much you can do. But I remember, and I'm pretty sure I've told this on the podcast before, we didn't find Donatello, and I was very bummed out. And we were, like, giving up. And there was this little girl, who was also there with her parent, who found a Donatello. And I saw her find it. And she was all excited. And I was, like, bummed out.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, that she got the last one. And she saw that, and she gave it to me.
Justin, I don't think I've ever heard that story.
I'm sure you have. And so that's the Donatello. I still have all of those original turtles from when I was a kid. So yeah,
that is so sweet.
I hope that maybe she like comes across this podcast at some point and hears it and is like, I remember doing that, and then we become friends.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you, little girl. I still have the Donatello figure all these years later.
Oh my gosh, that's a sweet story. What a kind little girl.
I know, right? I also remember, and this was after we moved. Mm-hmm. And I think this was a birthday money purchase, I want to say. I got one of my favorite Toys R Us purchases, I remember, was the Batman Forever Batmobile.
that was from Toys R Us?
That lit up. I remember going to the Johnson City Toys R Us, and so this would have been 96 probably. And yeah, I had that for a long time. Because I had missed out on which is my favorite Batmobile, is the one from 89, 92, the Tim Burton movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I never had that toy. But I got the Batman Forever one, and it lit up, so...
I remember that one exactly, and it was awesome.
And I don't
We
have
were
it anymore.
very into Batman Forever, you and I.
Batman Forever that hit me at just the right time in my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also me, because I was really into Chris O'Donnell.
Well, sure.
But also, I just loved the movie. Because it is not as... It's much more campy than the Tim Burton ones. Which I don't think I had seen at that time because they were like a little scary. And so like I definitely hadn't watched them.
And as we've established, you were a wuss.
I know. It's so bizarre to me that I can watch basically anything now because... Being a giant wuss was so ingrained in my personality, but yes, I know. But Batman Forever was, and that was another thing you and I could bond over was Batman Forever because we both really liked it.
Yeah, and
it was like had the colorful, weird characters, as we mentioned. Jim Carrey, hot off his streak of hits in 1994. It was just a good time. So I remember you getting that Batman Forever car. But I forgot it was Toys R Us.
Oh yeah, I remember being in the car looking at the box after we left the store, just like, wow. I remember we were in like one of the minivans we had.
Was it the teal green Windstar that came with the?
It was either that
Cruising Classics tape.
It was either the teal green Windstar or the dark blue
Astro. Was it an Aerostar? It may have been Aerostar. Yeah. That's right.
Chariots of the Gods.
That's right. Toting around America's favorite siblings. Right, let's talk a little bit about Geoffrey. Geoffrey was a big deal.
Geoffrey?
Geoffrey, that's correct.
Now, I really hate it when Geoffrey is spelled with a G.
I do too, but he's a giraffe, so they kind of...
It makes sense, yeah.
Unless
they spell giraffe with a J.
Which is dumb. That's even dumber than spelling Jeff with a G.
Now we're getting into the whole GIF thing.
I can't talk about it.
And
I refuse.
I'm not gonna have this conversation.
It's a GIF. I don't care if the creator says it's a GIF. He's just wrong.
It's a GIF.
It's a GIF, yeah. It's a GIF and it's a gift.
And this is Geoffrey.
This is Geoffrey, the mascot, and he's a giraffe.
A giraffe. Giraffe.
He is just so cute.
And he would be all over the store. Remember the in addition to the toys, the cardboard displays.
Yes.
Like the displays that were all over the place when you would come in. Remember you have the bench at the front with the big Geoffrey, like the big Geoffrey statue that you could sit next to, like Ronald McDonald at the bench at McDonald's.
Yes. I'm just looking.
Or sometimes he'd be out in front of the store. And if you were really lucky, if they were having a big event, you'd have someone there in a Geoffrey costume, like a mascot.
Charles Lazarus.
You would have him Westworlding himself into the body of
I'm
Geoffrey.
I'm just browsing a few photos of not only the interior but the exterior of Toys R Us in the 80s and 90s, and boy, oh boy. Right now I'm looking at just a beautiful site, and it has a humongous, you probably can't see this, a humongous circle with Geoffrey's face painted on the floor.
So I remember you would walk in, and of course you'd have the big Toys R Us logo with the backwards up.
Yeah. Yep.
And the star. And then, do you remember the bricks around? So these stores were huge.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
yeah.
They were massive. And you'd have the bricks around the doors, which usually you'd have like the automatic, like double automatic doors, double like exit doors. And the bricks would be painted like blue, yellow, and red, or something,
so it has
like
like panels. It's almost like the panels.
It would have,
it's yellow, green, red, and blue.
Yeah. And I just remember
and then
it always
that logo.
it felt like you were going through like you're entering a realm.
Yeah,
a realm
it was
of
like
color and
it was
joy.
a Wonka factory situation. Like
you're like, here's where the horrible, boring outside world ends,
and here's where paradise.
Which
begins.
at this point in our lives, it really wasn't horrible at all.
It was also pretty cool,
pretty great.
Yeah,
but
it was pre 9/11.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing it up again.
You're welcome.
I always like to remind people during our fun, whimsical podcast that 9/11 happened. Just periodically.
I mean, just in case anyone's forgetting. Never forget. That was the whole thing.
What was I even saying? Oh yeah, portal to another world.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a Narnia type of thing. Like you pass through those bricks, and all of a sudden it's like the tiles are painted different colors, and Geoffrey's maybe there. The big Geoffrey statue's certainly there.
Yeah.
Every the colors, just different colors everywhere.
Yeah.
You go over to the video game section and the TVs.
Yes.
And
now and as we've talked about on the podcast, we were not gamers as little kids, so we didn't buy video games, but we looked. We knew what they were.
If anyone doubted your particular brand of white lady, they don't anymore after the way you just said gamers.
Why?
Just had to get that little zing in there.
Why?
Just calling it a gamer is funny.
Oh.
No, we were not gamers. We were not hackers.
We were not Game Boying. We're not Game Boying or Game Girling, but I do remember the how you would have to get like a ticket, like a little slip of paper at the counter. So they didn't have the
games on the wall. They had the thing, and then it would say like flip up for game information, and you flipped it up, and you saw like what the back of the box looked like, so you could read about it and stuff. And then you would take a ticket, and you would take it up to the counter and get your reward.
Oh man!
Go up to the Toys R Us employee and say, "Hey, Geoffrey, go in the back." And
because they were all named Geoffrey, everybody who worked there.
Yes, I think it's.
They all.
I like how I'm just saying it, Geoffrey.
I know.
It's Geoffrey.
It's Geoffrey. But it is not the son from Game of Thrones.
No, but it'd be like, Geoffrey, go in the back and and get me, like, fucking Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And
go on now.
Go on, chop chop,
chop chop, Geoffrey. Yeah, I do remember that, and I remember like the consoles being behind the plastic.
Oh yeah. That was like
the way an original.
Those
Nintendo
were so
looks.
off limits for us, and not even within the realm of possibility of happening. That was like, I didn't waste a whole lot of time because I was just like, I know it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No, not for us. But we had plenty of toys, so it was fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we had plenty of shit to look at. And I remember very specifically, and I'm still a big board game, card game lover.
Oh,
and
the
I
board
remember
game section.
loving
Board games
to
and
go
puzzles.
down the board game aisle and puzzles.
Yes.
I still love that. It doesn't matter if I'm in Target physically, going to Target, I'm pretty much going to go look at the board games and puzzle aisle, like always, because I'm like, well, there might be something on sale.
You never know.
And I gotta know.
Do you remember the Imaginarium? That was like the educational section. Like the educational toys.
Yeah. I kind of do remember
that. Was like a different company that I think they purchased later, like in the 90s.
Okay.
And then they basically set up sections of the store that were like the Imaginarium and kept that branding and the name. and it became like the educational toys.
Okay.
So that was the nerd section, but it was
Yeah,
also
it was
for
for
like the
fucking
really
nerds.
really young kids too. So I don't imagine we spent much time in the.
It's kind of like
Imaginarium.
a hands-on museum
Kinda,
inside
yeah,
of a Toy
kinda.
Story.
Yeah,
A Toy Story.
A Toy
Inside of a Toys R Us.
a story of toys. And God,
That's what this episode is.
So there is a video which I'll link to on our social media.
Yeah.
That is just I have it in the notes here and I sent it to you earlier. 20 minutes
Yes.
of raw footage from the day before Thanksgiving 1991 Toys R Us in New York somewhere. And
Yep.
it's
Just somebody walking around.
Just somebody walking around filming. And it's very busy because it's like the beginning of Christmas season. And
Christmas music is playing.
I just scrolled. I texted you this earlier. I scrolled to
Yeah.
just a random point in the middle of the video.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds, I had seen a wall of Ninja Turtles. I had seen WWF Wrestling Buddies.
Oof.
I had seen American Gladiator action figures.
Oh, man.
I had seen Universal Monster toys.
Oh, my God.
And it had Christmas music playing. And I'm like, is this not the most...
We have something
my
new to
heart-
add to our commercial compilations, and
My
it is,
heart grew 3 sizes like the Grinch, and I
Yep.
was just like, yeah.
And
yeah,
it
the
just
world's
grew
okay.
right out of
We're
that
gonna
frame.
Be okay. We're gonna be okay.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
all right.
Things are gonna
This
be
country,
okay.
this country can heal.
We can...
Gonna-
Oh god.
I like to think that. So I watched some of that earlier as well. I like to think that that is actually a time traveler, as someone from our era who just went back to film that and posted it.
I wonder
because they
if
knew.
the person who filmed that in 1991 knows how much joy that brought me all
Yeah.
these years later.
And so many people, I'm sure. Of just like, do you want to experience what it would be like to just walk around to Toys R Us in 1991, the day before Thanksgiving?
Here it is.
Here it is.
Video games.
Yeah.
Let's go down the Barbie aisle. Let's go down
Mm-hmm.
board games. Let's go down little kid toys. Let's
Fisher Price and whatnot.
let's Fisher Price. Let's go down like sports stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Oh my god.
I mean, it really.
it was a thing
really,
of beauty. It was a thing of beauty.
It was.
And
Yep.
I get that that model as it was as a business was not really sustainable. But
Up into like modern times, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think it could have been. I think it could have been saved. I think it could
Yeah.
have been retooled. I think that. So when we start, honestly, by the mid '90s, they were struggling.
Right, because really by the mid 90s, I mean,
They declared
Walmarts
their
and
first
Targets
bankruptcy.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they declared their first bankruptcy in like '98 or '99. So,
Yeah.
like they were kind of getting their asses kicked, even
Yeah.
at that point with Target and Walmart, really.
Yeah.
Who were just like, people will.
Because
buy
I mean,
that shit
it's
out
so
of toys.
easy because your parents were going to Targets and Walmarts anyway for other things. So it was
and
like,
they could undercut Toys R Us on price too.
exactly. Yeah.
So, and so Toys R Us just became, this idea of, like we were saying, it's this massive physical space filled to the brim with toys.
Yeah, and that's not sustainable.
That's very expensive to
Yes.
maintain and staff, and
Yep.
as people start,
Especially if you're
shopping
only
online,
hiring people named Geoffrey. It gets harder and harder
It gets harder and harder.
to find that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real boneheaded decision. And only giraffes? How many giraffes are going to be able to run a retail store?
How many giraffes named Geoffrey? Justin,
You're shooting yourself in the foot.
you really are. You really are.
Yeah, so
This is a good podcast.
This is a good podcast. So yeah, in like by the 2000s, like everything else, it was going downhill. They hung on for a long time.
They really did.
I regret so much now that I rarely went to the Toys R Us we had here as an adult.
Yeah.
If we had one now, I would go once a week. So it's probably a blessing to my wife and to our bank account that we don't have one.
Yeah.
But I
Because you go to Target to look at the toys like once a week.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, it's not an indictment. It's just
No,
truth.
that's just the truth.
So,
That's just the
yeah.
truth.
That's just straight facts.
So, you can't really pinpoint one thing that killed Toys R Us, because several things killed Toys R Us. It was competition.
Yeah.
It was a failure on their part. By the time they really embraced an online presence, it was kind of too late.
Yeah.
But I think that those are things that could have been course corrected in time. If it wasn't for the acquisition of Toys R Us by a bunch of trust fund babies with their Bain Capital, they engineered a $6.6 billion buyout of Toys R Us in 2005, which is a way for them to saddle the company with $5 billion in debt.
What?
And then, I mean, this is what these private equity firms do: is they attach or buy out these struggling companies and then load them up with debt so that they fail eventually.
Oh my God!
And that's what happened to Toys R Us. Is they basically this private equity firm came in and was like, "Yeah, Toys R Us is struggling. Let's buy them and load them up with an untenable amount of debt that they'll never ever be able to pay down."
Yeah.
So they limped along like that for like a decade.
Jesus.
Until it was over. The last stores closed in March 2018, as they announced they were closing them.
Yeah.
And so kind of for the rest of the year, they started to close down. And it didn't take long. Like, they were just kind of gone.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. Now, did you go to our Toys R Us in its last days?
I did.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yeah. But almost immediately, so they keep trying to do revivals. So so Toys R Us is not dead. Happy to say, not entirely.
It's not. Yeah.
No. So almost immediately there were attempts to revive the name. The brand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By Christmas 2018, before even all the stores were closed, Kroger started. They had these like toy displays that were Toys R Us branded.
Really?
So that was sort of the first thing. There was a plan. They opened up in like 6 or 7 malls. They made the transition to like mall stores, but I honestly don't know that malls in this day and age is a great investment opportunity either.
No.
So that was like 2019. What happens next year? COVID.
Yeah,
kills that idea.
Yeah.
However, there are still some places that we can go as of today. So, starting in August 2021, they have announced that Toys R Us will be opening over 400 stores within Macy's. So
has that started to happen?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There's there's a bunch of Macy's stores that have like a mini Toys R Us
inside of them. That's incredible.
They also, as part of this initiative, opened a new flagship store. This is in 2021 in the American Dream Mall in the Meadowlands
I want to
New
go
Jersey.
there. Yeah.
It's 2 stories, and it features a slide between the levels and an ice cream parlor.
Oh, God.
And I'm happy to say that based on the success of that as of November 2023, they've opened a second flagship store where? In the Mall of America.
Mall of America.
So
have you you've never been to the Mall of America?
No, I haven't. But
oh God, I really want to go.
That would make for a good cool kids pilgrimage. Mall of America.
Sure would.
I could go to where they taped the first episode of WCW Nitro, and then we could go to Toys R Us.
Was that at the Mall of America?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's incredible.
Yeah. So
the dream is not dead.
The dream is not dead.
The dream is alive and well.
Fuck you, Wall Street.
Yeah, fuck you.
Leave my childhood alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Toys R Us.
I'm gonna go to the Mall of America.
Oh man, how cool! Shoo, Lord, that'd be awesome.
So anything else you want to add? Anything we didn't talk about? We talked about Big Toy Book. We talked about the commercials.
Oh, the commercials were so good.
God, yeah, especially
that Halloween one,
the Halloween one, and the Christmas ones.
Yeah. Well,
I think because of the Big Toy Book, I associate Toys R Us with Christmas a lot. Like when I think of Geoffrey, I tend to think of him with a Santa hat on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And all those employees.
And all. Yes.
Yeah, just, I mean, I think Toys R Us was just so, even though you and I did not go there, that was not our main toy store. That was not the place we bought all of our toys.
We weren't named Rockefeller.
Yeah. Yeah. But we did go there, and we did experience it.
Oh,
and
yes.
I think that it just...
And what an experience.
It really was. It was the Nickelodeon of retail stores.
And even if you didn't go there to buy the stuff, I was still looking at the Toys R Us ads every week when they would come in the Sunday paper.
Yeah.
Because if you want to know what toys were hot right now, what was out in stores, there you go.
What was on sale. Yep. There you go.
And I just, oh God, the design. The Toys R Us marketing, the design and marketing, it's so colorful and like fun fonts, and it's just very
like bubble letters, just
80s
very
and 90s,
very aesthetically pleasing.
You would get that ad in the paper, and it would just be so colorful, and they'd have just like pages of Game Boys and covers of video games, and man. It was magical.
It really was. It was a magical time. But you know what? I'm very happy to know that because even if there's just 10 stores, and that they can maintain
at least the dream is alive.
At least they exist. We could go to them. I mean, and you're telling me that a kid nowadays wouldn't fucking love to go into it. All kids are gonna love a toy store. Like,
yes.
Scrolling on Amazon is not the same as wandering around a Toys R Us. No. Like, it just isn't. And even wandering around the toy section of a Walmart or a Target it's a 1/16 of the size of a Toys R Us. So,
see that you can see walls and fixtures and stuff. Like, no, cover that with toys.
Yeah. You can see the music section from there. Like,
no.
You want only toys as far as I can see. That's what we're trying to do here.
Only toys.
Only toys. Yeah. It was a magical time, Justin.
Yeah.
80s and 90s.
It really was.
Yeah. Well,
we're gonna keep it strong, keep it together.
Let's keep it up. Let's keep it positive here at the end.
Yeah.
Let's keep it positive. I hope you guys enjoyed this little stroll down memory lane, also known as the aisles.
And thank you for everyone who voted in March Radness on our Instagram
thank you guys
account.
for participating in that.
Picking this topic. This was a fun one, and one that we were long overdue.
Oh yeah, it's crazy that we're 79 episodes in and just now talking about Toys R Us.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Do you want to do some plugs?
Let's do some plugs. Well, we already talked about Cool Kid Clubhouse.
Cool Kid Clubhouse, yeah.
You can find us on social media on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at Cool Kids Club Pod. You can also find us individually on Instagram. I am at Amy with 4 H's. And Justin, as always, is at Lousy with Ghosts.
Yes. Indeed. Facebook, we're also there if you didn't mention that. Have to shout out not only Brian Hey Guys Wakefield for our theme song and being a bro, but his wonderful, beautiful mother, Wendy, who was like is just one of my all-time favorite people in the world, who is apparently, I was informed recently, become a big fan of our show. And
oh my God, Wendy, are you kidding me? Yeah, Wendy's a great lady. We love Wendy. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
That's so sweet.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love when I find out that like random people in our life are like, oh no, I'm big fans of the podcast. Because I forget that people that know us might actually listen, and it's not just strangers who also enjoy nostalgia.
In fact, it's probably mostly people we know.
It's probably mostly people we know. Well, I'm going to try not to think about that when I'm doing this. The pressure's on.
They're listening right now, Amy.
Oh my God.
Everyone
better edit this good, Amy. Fuck it all up. All right. What should we advise people do until our next episode, Justin?
I don't have a pun, so I'm just going to say stay cool.
Stay cool. Sometimes the classics, they're
classics.
Work.
They're classics for a reason.
They're classics for a reason. Like Toys R Us.
We will see you all in 2 weeks. And until then, stay cool.
With a new episode. Stay cool, guys.